This program is sponsored by the Avera Cancer Institute.
Just tell that person every day how much you love them. Appreciate everything that they've done, because it's the memories that you're left with.
Welcome to River of Hope. You're about to meet Tammy, a 47-year-old Sioux Falls woman who was diagnosed with acute leukemia. The purpose of this program is to raise awareness of cancer and to provide healing water retreats at the homes of cancer patients going through treatment. River of Hope is funded through corporate sponsorships and your donations, so we need your support. To learn how you can help fight this deadly disease or to nominate someone you know, please log on to the riverofhopefoundation.org. Your donations will also provide financial support for integrative medical therapies to other cancer patients. Now here's Tammy's inspiring story.
I don't know if it's changed me, maybe a little. I know one thing, I'm not going to die of cancer.
I actually met Tammy when Tammy was in, I think she was in 5th or 6th grade, and I was staying at a neighbor's house. And then we just grew to be friends. We got closer and closer and just did a lot of fun things throughout high school and throughout life. We were both pretty shy. We did like to have fun, and we did do things together. We loved to dress up on Halloween. Tammy was the one that actually was the planner. Tammy was the crafty one. Tammy's the one that really would go the extra mile, and she'd be the one that would be sewing it and putting it together and making sure everything matched and it was perfect, and we had fun. We still have fun with that. We'd go down to the lake and we'd go boating. Tammy and I went fishing. We went to Rapid City, went camping, and then we went over to Yellowstone Park, went through Colorado. When I met Brian, actually Tammy and I were just getting ready to go on a cruise, and Tammy had met Brian, was all excited and everything, and then we went on our trip, and it seemed like right after that they got married.
My name is Brian Doring, and Tammy's my wife. We actually met at my old place of employment. I was a salesperson traveling quite a bit, so I was gone quite a bit of the time out of the office, and when I came back to the office one afternoon, she was sitting there. Love at first sight for me, yes, but for her, not so much.
I guess Brian just kept hounding her to go out and hounding her to go out. She just didn't want to go out, didn't want to go out. Finally, she said yes.
She's very fun-loving. She's easy to be with. Never had to worry about trying to scramble to find a conversation topic or anything.
You know, they're just a fun-loving couple. I mean, you know, they're pretty quiet. They're, you know, kind of homebodies a little bit. I mean, Brian and Tammy, they're just, you know, just a great couple.
She is just quiet and very unassuming, and just everybody wants to know Tammy. You know, she smiles at you, and you just feel it. She's just very caring and very fun to be around, and we have a lot of shopping trips that we go on. And we just enjoy each other's company, and she walks in a room and everybody wants to talk to Tammy.
She's creative, outgoing. She loves her job at Good Sam. She's very scheduled, very organized.
She's very sincere as a friend. She's always helpful and always willing to help out other people out. She seems to always think of others other than herself. Just a really caring, compassionate person.
Tammy and I, we've been friends for 34 years and 8 months. She had just sent me a thank you, and you don't realize how much your friend means to you until something really does happen to him. You just don't expect anything like that to happen to your friend.
To support River of Hope, please log on to riverofhopefoundation.org.
When I first noticed it, or rash on Tammy's back, it was in the morning. I very often put lotion on her back after she got out of the shower. And it seemed odd the first time I noticed it, and I did mention it to her. And then it seemed like a couple days later, it seemed like the rash is actually multiplying. And at that point, I told her that she really needs to get into the doctor just to see what it is. I thought, quite honestly, I thought it was some type of allergic reaction to something. Rash like I've never seen before, so.
And the rash didn't itch or anything, it just multiplied really fast. So I went to see a dermatologist, and they tested some of the spots that I had, and they sent me to a cancer doctor. The cancer doctor got the results from the dermatologist, and he did a blood test, and they still couldn't really tell if I had leukemia, so he did a bone marrow biopsy. And when I went back in 2 days later, and he told me I had cancer, it's just like I went numb.
The word just takes the breath right out of you. It really does. It's a scary, scary word.
When you hear that word, I mean, I think that's the worst 6-letter word in the alphabet, but it just changes. It changes what you always feel, because you feel like you're never gonna be sick or have problems. That's how I felt anyway. You know, I had such a wonderful life, I never thought of anything ever happening to me.
I've lost several people in my family, my immediate family, from cancer. So yeah, it was scary.
No one expects cancer. You know, it was hard on Brian because Brian actually had some other issues with cancer with his family, so he was expecting it would be him, not Tammy.
It was just unbelievable because she was so healthy. I mean, she always took very, very good care of herself. Just unbelievable that this would happen to her. And so just to go through that piece of it, it was hard to just imagine that it was hurting somebody like her.
The diagnosis, when they told me I had cancer, was AML, leukemia, and it was kind of in the early stage.
It's a cancer of the white blood cells. It arises in the bone marrow, and probably at a stage when the cells are in a very infantile, baby-like state. There are no normal cells produced in the setting. The cancer cells take over the entire bone marrow, so these patients lose all their healthy cells to carry oxygen to fight infections, stop them from bleeding. It's a terrible disease. It is fatal if it's not treated. Success in treating patients takes a very arduous, very difficult path.
There was a few times that I could have just closed my eyes and went to sleep and never woke up. It got that bad, but other than that, you know, cancer is what it is. It tries to take your life, but it's not going to take mine. I know that.
We were going out to do one of our girl days, and she told me, you know, she told me earlier that she had this rash, and we didn't think really anything of it. We thought, you know, it's a rash. And she kept our little date, and she told me that night, she said, Tracy, they think it might be leukemia. And, you know, I was trying to be positive and tell her, you know, well, they don't know for sure, and we'll find out, you know, when we find out. And they called the next, I think it was 2 days later, and let her know that it was leukemia. And we cried, and we prayed a little bit for each other, and that was a tough time.
It was just maybe a month before that we were planning a motorcycle trip for last summer. And you know, we get together with 4 or 5 other couples that we ride with, and we try to plan a trip for the summer where we're going to go. And we were talking about maybe going to Yellowstone Park. So when she called, it was kind of hard.
Yeah, it was tough. A lot of what Tammy had been looking forward to for a summer, and planning on those trips, and wanting to go on the cycle, and just not having the energy, being afraid of how long it might be before she would have it again.
It's something that you don't expect your best friend to have, and you don't expect anybody that's, 47 years old? You don't expect that, because the thing is, her and I have always been able to actually swim, bike, walk, run around outdoors. You don't expect it. And there's nothing that you can say when you do have something in leukemia, then I love you.
It's very, very aggressive cancer. It can, you can have an individual having a normal blood count one week and having a very abnormal blood count the following week because of the leukemia. The chemotherapy will get rid of the cells, the cancerous cells, in a majority of instances, but it has to be done repeatedly. It's like Roundup to stop the cancer cells from coming back and then allow the normal cells to grow.
Tammy is younger than I am by more than a decade, and you find yourself asking, you know, when this person eats well and exercises and does all the things that ought to buy them some measure of guarantee that they're going to be healthy, and it just kind of hits them between the eyes. Fortunately, it put her in a position where she was healthy enough to tolerate treatment well, but it's not a fair disease, I don't, in any respect.
Please join us in the fight against this devastating disease. Log on now to theriverofhopefoundation.org. There you can make a donation or nominate someone you know for the gift of a private healing water retreat in their own backyard. Here are just a few of our past recipients.
At Avera, our philosophy would be to treat a person's mind, body, and soul. Treat the individual, not the disease, address all their needs so that we can return them to the quality of life that they're used to.
I think it helps when, you know, the doctors don't come in and they're really serious. Even though he was. I mean, he told me from day one. He even drew little pictures for me to explain the treatment I was going to go through and what percentage I had to live, and when I was going to be sick, when you know, how long the sickness was going to last. I mean, they told me everything right at the beginning.
She wanted to delve into it and learn as much as she can about it, so she knew how she's going to fight it.
2 days after I was diagnosed, I was in the hospital for 7 days of chemo, 2 different types of chemo. And that lasted about 30 days in the hospital because of the effects the chemo had on me. And the first day was really hard. The first day at the hospital, the 30 days, I think is because the first set of chemo was destroying my whole body. And I got sick a lot. And I had to go into isolation for a few days, and they thought I was like contagious from a rash I had on my back. But I made it through the 30 days, and about a week after I got out of the hospital, I was feeling really good again.
Some patients require only chemotherapy to potentially get rid of the disease. Others would need a bone marrow transplant with cells either coming from them from a sibling donor. We have to undergo a special process of matching their cells, or from an unrelated donor. We've had many successes with those therapies, and when patients are cured, it can take several months for them to return back to feeling normal. They can go back to leading a normal life.
I knew I had to go back in for a second chemo treatment, but I didn't know I had to go so soon. But since it came back, about 2 weeks later, I was back in the hospital for another month, another 7 days of chemo. And then I was out for about 8 weeks, because that's when they were looking for a bone marrow donor. So after about 30 days the second time, then about 8 weeks later about 6 weeks later I got the news that they did find a donor. So about 8 weeks later I went in and I had my third round of chemo, and then I had radiation, and then I had my transplant.
She has been better than I could ever possibly imagine going through what she's went through. She has a great attitude, never lets herself get down. She has a great support staff with friends and family, so.
I talked to her every day when she was in the hospital. Every morning, 7:30 in the morning was my call. And if she was busy, she'd call me because she knew I was going to call. So we talked every morning and about every other day, at least 3 times, 4 times a week. Some days were good, some days were bad.
Oh, the support that I received was outstanding. It was just so amazing to me, and it still is today. I mean, my friends and family offered to do whatever they could do. I mean, they kept asking me, can we make Brian supper and bring it over to him? And, you know, can we help clean his house? They always wanted to help. And Brian is one that he doesn't like to take stuff. You know, I mean, he's like, he thinks he can do it. He doesn't want to, you know, be a freelander. And when I was in the hospital, they came up. And it just always seemed like at the worst times when I felt the sickest or the downest, or, you know, then they'd show up. It was just cool.
I guess the priority in our lives right now is Tammy and Tammy's health. So that's where my time and my time is best spent.
Everything's looking good.
Oh, I felt so guilty when I was in the hospital, and Brian would constantly want to come and visit or have me call him, or he calls me to make sure I was okay. And I just knew I was wearing him out. You know, I mean, I know how it is visiting people in the hospital when they're just there for a few days. And he did it for months on end. I mean, and it just made me feel guilty because I kind of took his life too.
To support River of Hope, please log on to riverofhopefoundation.org. This program is sponsored by the Avera Cancer Institute.
There's been just I think an outpouring of love and support to Brian and Tammy through her friends and her family, whether it be the poker runs that they've done, the family members and friends, or the different activities that they've done for them to raise money to help them to be able to get through the treatments and those kinds of things.
You know, we did a bake sale for her as when she's gone, just because we always know that, you know, when there's one income out of the family that, you know, everyone needs that extra support.
My company held my job for 10 months, which was just amazing. But I started back 2 hours a day, and you would think 2 hours would be nothing, but for me, it just totally wore me out. But it was great. It was the best thing for me to do, I think, because I had something to do every day.
I think the most therapeutic thing for her probably is being able to be back at work and feeling like there's a little bit of normalcy back.
They always say that everything that you go through makes you tougher, makes you a better person, makes you a stronger person. So we have to believe that this is going to definitely make Tammy stronger on the other side as she gets through this cancer and moves forward.
Probably the biggest effect that it's had is it's really created a void in the group that rides together. Just not having her there, and then also not having Brian there, because Brian needed to be with her a lot of the time.
I just love being on motorcycles and just feeling free. We have a bunch of friends now that have bikes. A couple of them just got bikes within the last couple of years. So we take trips, and they're planning a trip this year to Wyoming, to Yellowstone, but I think Brian and I are going to pass because I think it's going to be too hard on me.
The poker run we had for Tammy, that was really awesome. We had the police escort us out of town So Tammy was in the front with Brian, and there was probably 15 or 20 bikes, and we all stayed together the whole park run, and she had a great time. That was the first time she was on the bike since she was going through all this chemo. So she didn't know if she was going to be able to handle it, but she was a trooper, and she stayed on the bike the whole day, and she was just in heaven. She just loved it. And then the benefit we had for her too. We raised like almost over $5,000 for her at that. And she just was at awe at how many people showed up for that.
Probably the blessings in disguise, I guess, were the way that her friends and family really came together for her, and the strength that she was able to gather from her family and friends and from Brian. And I think she realized how treasured she was in everybody's friendships and how treasured she was in her family.
The day finally arrives when Tammy's backyard transforms before her eyes, and friends and family are there to celebrate this extraordinary gift of hope.
That day was, I was waiting all week for that day, and it was amazing. It's just like it lit up my whole life.
This is your river of hope. The River of Hope Foundation provides healing environments to those battling the struggles of cancer, as well as those affected by cancer in any way. A survivor, a patient, a family member, co-workers or friends. It really affects more than just those that are going through the treatment process.
This program is sponsored by the Avera Cancer Institute.
Someone who's getting great treatment already, it's only going to make it a better experience, and that's really what we're looking for, is to help with the quality of life while those affected by cancer are going through their treatment. And if we can do that, then we're well on our way to fulfilling our mission.
The sounds of nature have an extremely relaxing power, and to bring that into our patients' lives would be wonderful one way or the other, because many of them are unable to enjoy those little things we take for granted every day. So if we could recreate some of those scenes, you know, the sound of a waterfall or a little pond, or just to see and enjoy the peaceful part of nature, I think is extremely wonderful.
I was actually over there when the River of Hope came over there. Tammy was really excited about it.
I don't know. I've never had such a surprise like that in my life, you know, other than when Brian proposed to me. So I don't know really how I'm going to react, but I'm sure I'm going to be speechless for a long time, and I'll probably lose a lot of tears, but it's going to be amazing.
I think she'll probably cry. I think she'll be amazed. I love landscaping, so I'm really intrigued of what this all is going to look like. I'm amazed that you can do it that quickly.
It's always a charge. It's always fun to start them up, and it's always fun to watch the project come together. And Nathan, he always usually keeps it pretty challenging for us, because he's always trying to incorporate some kind of theme with it. And we're usually running on kind of a short schedule with it, so we've got to kind of pool everybody together, pool all the material together, and get in there and hit it pretty hard for, you know, a few days until it's finished.
They came to my house and covered all my windows, because for sure they didn't want me to be able to see my backyard, because they wanted it to be a surprise. I was glad they did it, and I didn't peek or anything, because I love surprises like that. They brought me in my front door of my house, and they had the camera people, and then Nathan was walking me through the house, and we went out on the deck.
This is your river of hope.
I was so amazed at the job they did and how beautiful it was. And I was just so into it that nothing around me. I don't even know what happened around me for at least 5 minutes. And then pretty soon, of course, when I'm standing there, my sister taps me on my shoulder, and I turn around and hear there's coworkers and friends and family standing behind me on my deck. I did not hear a thing. I did not hear them come out the door. I did not hear, you know, they must have been so quiet. And I just love my pond. It's so awesome. It does change a cancer person's life, because cancer is one thing that you never want to get in life. And you live with it and you make the best of it and you get strong again. But to have something so beautiful, you know, I really don't feel like I deserve something like that for what I've been through, but I appreciate it so much, you know.
I'd just like to thank the people that have given this great gift to Tammy. I know it will be very much appreciated, very much enjoyed.
I think it reminds me more, even the people that put it in and the donations that came in, I think it reminds me more of all my friends and family and stuff that were with me the whole time and how much love I felt.
It isn't just that patient. It can resonate out throughout not only the patients, but the family members, the friends, all of those people that come and see the beautiful things that the River of Hope does in the backyards of the patients.
It's a beautiful place to donate your money. I mean, when I got called that I was nominated, and then I was called after I was interviewed that I was on the show, it just, you don't know what it does to people. It just changes their whole life. Makes you feel really special.
To be a part of the River of Hope and help others like Tammy as they heal from this devastating disease, please log on now to theriverofhopefoundation.org. There you can donate or nominate someone you know. Thanks for watching.